Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good evening. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. I hope this show finds you in good spirits. I know it's a late show, but we need to talk about these things. As the news just keeps on flying out the gate. Every day, every minute, something new is popping off, and there's always something we have got to get into. All right, this is a much necessary, much needed conversation tonight. And let me just say this: a lot of people are wondering if they really have the right guy. That's what people are saying out here in these streets. Some people, I'm just going to say it, some people are just not believing what they believe is hype. 4 or 5 years later, and they finally get the guy off of stuff that they say they're putting blame on the Biden administration and saying the Biden administration had this sitting on their desk for years and did nothing about it until now. Very interesting stuff. But, like I said, I'm just putting out what the people out here in these streets are saying. And I will say this, though, too. I'm not surprised. You want to know why? I'll explain here in just a little bit. We talked about it before. When after the press conference, we're going to circle back and talk about it again tonight, right here on the Pascal Show. So please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, I'm on all them mugs. Okay, baby. So make sure you hit that reaction button, hit that follow button, please and thank you. All right. Don't forget as well, while you're doing all that, subscribe here to my YouTube channel, okay? We got a lot to talk about, and I talk about a lot of stuff. It's not only just true crime, it's also pop culture and politics and all the mucky muck in between, and sometimes those things just, they sometimes turn into a hybrid. They sometimes blur together. It's insane, but it's true. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, okay? Because we cover a lot of things on this channel. Go check out Pascal Show clips and Pascal Raw. Subscribe over there as well. That'll be greatly, greatly appreciated, okay? That'll be awesome. Hit that notification bell while you do that after you subscribe on all these platforms, so you know when I go live, whenever I upload, because it's random, okay, or it's breaking news. All right. Hit that join button down below. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out pascalmerch.com. Okay. We got some things we're going to talk about today. We got a lot going on. We got the J6 boom boom displayer, I guess you could call him. I'm just going to say the pipe bomber. Okay. He has finally been identified. He also has finally been, his face has been revealed to the world. And, of course, I don't know why they did this, but the U.S. military strikes another mother-loving boat out in the Pacific Ocean. So we got some things we have got to get into. This is absolutely crazy, in my personal opinion. Things are just getting strange out here, and I'm wondering why. But first, I want to take a small trip down memory lane. About 4 or 5 years ago, CNN posted this, and I know everybody's going to be having their feelings about CNN. Has nothing to do with what they're saying. I just want us to see the footage of this assailant, allegedly Brian Cole Jr., walking through the streets of Washington, D.C., more like sashaying, more like frumpy walking throughout the streets of D.C., bending from the hips. I said it before, and I meant it as a joke, and it's still a joke, but he was bending from the hips, which seems a little bit strange to me. Okay, like the stripper bend, stiff back, bending from the hips. Okay, as he's walking throughout Washington, D.C., trying to figure out, should I leave a pipe boom boom here or a pipe boom boom over there? That's what's really going on. I just want you guys to see some of this footage. Okay? Take a look.
Moments ago, the FBI released new videos of the suspect who left pipe bombs outside both the Republican National Committee and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the Capitol insurrection. Officials believe the pipe bombs may have been intentionally placed there away from the Capitol in order to divert police attention as the insurrectionists stormed the Capitol on January 6. A law enforcement official tells CNN that the pipe bombs had been filled with an explosive powder and rigged with egg timers. They were detonated by robots.
Right there.
CNN's Evan Perez joins me now live.
Okay. Now, I'm just showing you guys that footage because this is the thing that I think a lot of people are wondering about. It's not only because it is how this person's walking. Like me, to me, it doesn't look like it's a woman walking. It just seems like somebody who's just kind of clumping through the streets. Okay, they just seem kind of nonchalantly, just kind of perusing. Is that a word? Sauntering through the streets. You know, almost to the point where I feel like they're strolling. Yeah, that's what it is. Strolling through the streets. Now they've all been saying, oh, as you can see, he was out there in the streets stalking the streets. No, if it really is him, he's literally strolling through the streets. He's damn near this close to having his hands behind his back, walking around just looking at the trees. You know what I mean? Like an old man walk, just randomly strolling through the street, just enjoying the late nights, or the night of a Washington D.C. night. No crime, no problems whatsoever. The next day is January 6th. It's just gonna go down on J6, okay? But he's just sauntering through, right? Now, people are sitting there going like, we don't believe this to be the guy. People are still thinking that it's the girl. They think that it's this prime suspect. I forgot her name, but they were saying FBI was really staring at this short-haired white woman that may have been the one who did this. But this particular person's walking through the streets, and to me, the way this guy looks, which we're going to look at here in just a second, it doesn't fit this to me. It doesn't fit this. You're going to see his face here in a second. His stature, in a way. It just does not give me the vibe that this is the guy. Take a look again.
The Capitol insurrection. Officials believe the pipe bombs may have been intentionally placed there away from the Capitol in order to divert police attention as the insurrectionists stormed the Capitol on January 6.
Now, again, how he walks is very strange. But at the same time, it just seems frumpy. It's the bend for me, dog. Okay? It's the bend for me.
Law enforcement official tells CNN
Right
the pipe
here.
bombs had been filled with an explosive powder and rigged with egg timers. They were detonated by robots. CNN's Evan Perez joins me now live.
It's the bend for me, y'all. Okay? That just sells me a completely different person. Or he just real zesty. Okay? I don't know. Never seen this guy before in my life. Never had a conversation with this dude. Don't even know this guy from a can of paint. None of us know this guy from a can of paint. Okay? Except his close friends and family. Is this really the guy? Wait for it. Wait for it. Because this is allegedly the guy. Meet 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr. Now, he is the one who has been arrested today in connection to dropping off these pipes. Okay, I'm just going to say dropping off the pipes. Okay. He was arrested today for this. He is the man that federal authorities believe planted 2 of these pipes outside of the headquarters of the DNC and the RNC. Okay, so the Democratic National Committee Center or Committee headquarters and the Republican National Committee headquarters in DC the night before J6 happened. I just want to make that abundantly clear. Now, also, let's not forget, these boom booms did not go off, but were considered viable and capable of causing some serious harm. So he had it set up, but for some odd reason, something went haywire and it didn't work out. Okay, so investigators have definitely identified this guy, okay, after an extensive multi-year probe that examined surveillance video, cell phone tower data, license plate reader hits, and his past purchases. Let me just tell you this, okay? Allegedly, they went back and they found a bunch of things, like all the things that he bought, like from Home Depots and stuff like that. They were able to run those serial numbers, run it back to him. Yeah. Literally right back to him. There's a lot of information that we're going to be learning about this guy. Okay. And his dad too. You know, there's some connections with his dad. I guess it's a bail bondsman, a company that his dad owns. And of course, there hasn't been confirmation if he actually worked there or not, but there's a lot of information that we're starting to hear. Now, I'm telling you right now, everything from the pipes that he bought, the end caps, the timers, the wiring, the steel wool, okay, all those things, all right, he bought months before this attack actually happened, okay? Now, he was living in Woodbridge, Virginia, in the suburb of D.C., all right, a single-family home, in a single-family home with family, okay? He was reportedly working at a bail bonds office, but here's the thing. It's allegedly his father's office, but the father has not confirmed whether or not he did, that he actually worked there or not. I don't know why he's not willing to say that he did it, that he was working there or not. Maybe he's just scared about losing business. I don't know, but it's very strange, okay? Now, this is a part that I thought was very interesting as well, that we hear a lot of times. It's a tale as old as time, okay? We hear a lot of people say the same thing about everybody, about these assailants or these suspects. They all said, oh, yeah, he was a nice young boy, just very quiet and very socially withdrawn and just very to himself. And there's no way he could be suspected of doing anything violent like this. This man ain't got no violent behavior. He's just so kind. Look at his glasses. Look at his frail frame. There's no way he could ever do something like this. Well, FBI begs to differ. The DOJ begs to differ as well. They believe this man is the man. Is he wearing Invisalign? Is he wearing Invisalign? It looks like he's got Invisalign even in the photo. Okay. He did this. Okay. Federal prosecutors have charged him with transporting an explosive boom boom, okay, an explosive device, an attempted malicious destruction by means of an explosive, okay? And of course, there's going to be a slew of other additional charges that are going to be coming towards him, okay, as this investigation continues. But this is absolutely knuckin' futs. Now, I'm not going to, hold up, guys. Hold on. Because nose is running now, and I got to be honest, okay? Let me keep it real with y'all. I know some of y'all are already going, man, Pascal, you done lost your damn mind. Hold up. I'm not sitting here saying that I don't believe 5-0. I'm not sitting here saying that I don't believe DOJ. I'm just echoing and letting you guys know what the streets are saying right now. And the streets aren't believing the hype with this Gumby looking ass mother. I'm sorry. He's so skinny. I feel like back in the early 90s, he would have had the Gumby the haircut. You know what I'm saying? When that ish was popular. Okay. The Gumby haircut. You know, he's skinny. That's the other thing I wanted to point out. This guy who is being alleged of doing this terrible, terrible thing. Whoops, did not mean to do that. This terrible, terrible thing. In fact, I'm going to blow this up even more. Take a good look. Take a gander at this man. Does he look like the videos that we've been seeing? Does he look like the type that would bend and snap from the hips? Hold up. Yes, I did Yes, I did. I just dropped a legally blonde bar on your ass. Yes, I did. Okay? You're welcome. Prolific up in this mother lover. Prolific. Does he look like the type that will be bending from the damn hips? Does he look like he would bend and snap? Would he? Does it look like that's him? Does it look like it's him in the videos? Don't worry. No. Keep this, burn this visage in your minds. Okay? Keep this in the very frontal cortex of your mind real quick. Okay? Because we're going to look at that video again. You saw his face. You have it burn in your brain, right? You got it? Good. Hold on. Hold up. We're going to look at those videos again. I mean, unless he had a few burgers and he found, Zambic. I just don't see it. But let's take a look. It's questionable. Take a look.
Moments ago, the FBI released new videos of the suspect who left pipe bombs outside both the Republican National Committee and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the Capitol insurrection. Officials believe the...
Hold up. Wait for the side profiles. I'm going to play it more. He could have layered up because it was cold. Let's be real. It be cold out there. See, he might have layered up if this really is him. But this doesn't seem like him. It just seems like either they made him look like these, like the street cameras add 10 pounds, right? Or something. But it doesn't seem, I don't know. Something about this doesn't seem like it's him, but it could very well be him. Okay, but now we're going to get to the bend and snap moment.
Stormed the Capitol on January 6th. A law enforcement official tells CNN that the pipe bombs had been filled with an explosive powder and rigged with egg timers. They were detonated by robots. CNN's Evan Perez.
Something about this seems a little weird. Okay, especially right here. Showing off that donk. Okay, I don't know. Fellas. Okay? Fellas. Real quick, fellas. When was the last time you bent from the hip? In fact, I don't want to know. 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 But I'm just saying, okay, you got a dude bending and snapping. And it's the stiff, it's the stiff. It's the stiff back. It's not, you know what I mean? And you know how it's fellas out here, okay? We all got back problems. Let's be real. All of us do. All of us adults have our L4, L5 is jacked, right? We don't bend from the hip like this, especially the fellas. We just don't, okay? Maybe we used to be able to do that back in the day, but then, that one moment, it completely destroyed your back. You ain't doing that no more. You're bending from the knees. I said it before, and people are actually saying that again out here in these streets. They're like, wait a second, it just doesn't make sense how he is bending from the hip. That he's not bending his knees are straight. His legs, are straight. That makes no sense. This does not give me the vibe that this is, I was going to say his name is Steve Urkel too, but you got it ahead of time. Okay, Harmony. But yeah, this does not give me that this is Steve Urkel. Now, they may have gotten the guy, or they may have gotten one of the guys. Maybe it was him that actually purchased all this stuff. Maybe it was, guys. Okay? Man, where's your head at, Planet? Planet Zeb? Bone on bone. What you talking about? Band and snap, right? So again, he could have been buying stuff, the material, to separate certain things. So just in case they do the reverse math like they did, and it took them 5 mother-loving years to do this, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. They could literally go back and go, Oh, well, yeah. He could be like a firewall. Maybe he did buy the stuff. Or maybe they stole his identity. I don't know. To buy the stuff, to buy the material. Let me also point something out. Can I point something out here really quick? I mean, thank God for being dumb, okay? Thank God for being dumb. Like being a dumb criminal. But criminals, especially when you are going around laying out boom boom devices, the last thing you want to do is leave serial numbers on the mother-loving material that you're using to make the thing go boom boom in the first doggone place. Isn't that like rule number one? Use your brain. Don't do that because they can run that stuff and they can catch your ass in time. It looks like it takes about 5 years for them to do the reverse math. But again, they still caught this guy. Serial numbers on caps, serial numbers on wires, the pipes that he allegedly used, all that stuff. They didn't bother to scrape that stuff off, sand that stuff off. Like, thank God you're dumb. Thank God you're dumb. Thank God you are dumb. Thank God you are dumb because the things didn't go off, number one. Number two, thank God you're dumb. You left the serial numbers on there so they were able to do the reverse math and catch your ass. So thank God for that. But again, doesn't that seem a little bit strange? Oh, dear God. Dag nabbit. Okay. Now the tinfoil hat is on. Okay? Tinfoil hat is fully on. Yeah, it is a pipe dream. Band and snap. Now, here's the thing. Think about this for a second, okay? Like I said, doesn't it seem like rule number one in 101 Terry class? They're going to sit there and say, cover every track you can so things don't trace back to your ass or the organization or the group of people that you're working with that has radicalized you to do God knows what, right? But they say, we're going to look at here in a second, that they were able to go back through the serial numbers that they left on the mother-loving pipes in the first place and catch them that way. The DOJ, Pam Bondi, now this is the reason why I understand why they're like, it's so ridiculous. This stuff was sitting on the desk collecting dust with the previous administration and the previous director of the FBI. And they did nothing about it. They did no reverse math to catch this guy. And they're basically saying it was simple math, AKA, oh, let's just run these serial numbers on all this material because it seems to be so perfectly left behind. And we're going to be able to catch this mother lover. And that's exactly what they did. Now, if this is the truth and this is actually the case, then hey, I salute the DOJ and the FBI for catching this mother lover. But at the same time, though, people aren't believing it. Why, you may be asking? Well, we are dealing with Cash Patel and Pam Bondi, and people are side-eyeing the hell out of them, too. Sorry, not sorry. Those are facts, Jack. Straight facts. People are just not believing. They're not believing this. They think this is all cap. All a fugazi. All a fat-ass lie. I leave that question up to you. I am side-eyeing some information. I am side-eyeing the footage and looking at this guy and going, are we sure we got the guy? Could he be just the fall guy? Think about it. Could he be the fall guy? Could he be somebody that got swindled into something that maybe he didn't know he was getting swindled into? I'm just saying, think about it for a second. Think about it for a hot minute. Look at this man right here. Look at this man right here. Is it really him in these videos or no? That's a question I have too. You know, after having several hours to sit down think about it, sit in my chamber filled with leather-bound books and smelling of rich mahogany and smoking on that pipe, thinking, pondering, well, his body does not match the video. Could it actually be 110% him? The only thing I can think of is he started taking peptides. Or he found some, I don't know, he's on a keto diet, or he's like, now he's vegan. Okay? But you mean to tell me that this is him? Bending from them hips, though. 30-year-old man. And he's got a back like it's elastic still. Here's the other thing, too. Women are more prone to be bending from the hip like that because they have more of a lower center of gravity. Not men. Men aren't going to do that. You know what we do? We'll do some semblance of that, but it's really messed up. We'll have the leg out. We'll do the leg thing as we're like sitting it down. You know what I'm saying? You know exactly what I'm talking about. We're not bending straight-legged down to pick something up off the ground or putting something on the ground. We will do the leg out, you know what I mean? Almost like a lever to put something down or to pick something up, you know? Or we will put it down almost like a side bend. It'll be like this, boom, you know? Bang, right? And that's it. That's it, right? So again, if this truly is the guy, I am very curious. I'm very, very, very curious. I feel like somebody just took his ID or his credit card or something and started running it without him knowing or something. I don't know. It just seems so odd that this is the guy. And of course, there's more information that we're going to be finding out about this guy here in a second. We're going to be talking about that in just a second. Let me just pull this stuff up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right. Because again, something about this is just, it's odd. It's odd. It's odd. And I think that if the Epstein file situation did not transpire the way it transpired, we wouldn't be looking at the DOJ and the FBI in this way. We would not be side-eyeing them in this fashion. Trust me. If it was like, here's the list, because the list does exist. All right. Here are all the files, because the files do exist. We had to redact a few things, everybody, but we're going to keep it transparent with y'all, just so you know. Here's everything. And we're like, oh, so that's the stuff. Ooh, okay. Then they come out and they're like, we have caught Brian Cole Jr., the one who planted those pipes out there the day before J6. We'd be like, oh, yes, Hercules. Yes, Hercules. Yeah. Yes, Hercules. We'd be fine with it. But because of because of the breadcrumbs and the timeline as of late, everybody's side-eyeing this stuff. Everything from Epstein to Charlie Kirk and everything else, we're all looking at this stuff side-eye. Come on now. And I don't blame us for wanting to ask these questions. I don't blame us for putting on the tinfoil hat when we actually shouldn't even need to put on the tinfoil hat, because the conspiracy theories are actually the theories that we've been seeing. Like the Epstein files do exist. They're real. We're starting to see that. They're real. The list does exist. It's real. Okay? We're finally seeing that. When they said it didn't exist, they try to gaslight us, make us think that we are absolutely losing our minds, that I don't know, that we're having like a Mandela effect type of situation going on. Hold on. Excuse me. Like some sort of Mandela effect type thing going on, when in actuality, we're not crazy. We're not crazy. They made this happen. Us ask questions when we should be looking at them and going, okay, that's the truth. Cool, bet. That's the truth, right? But no. We have to keep side-eyeing them until they actually start telling us the full freaking Truth. What we know about Brian Cole Jr. Let's take a look at this. For the first time in nearly 5 years, there is now a name linked to the boom booms planted near the RNC and DNC. Okay, the day before the January 6th. On Thursday, Brian Cole Jr., 30 years old, was arrested and charged in connection with the boom booms, with the boom devices, okay, which did not detonate, which we already know. He's accused of transporting these devices and attempted malicious destruction by means of these types of materials, okay, to make this device, okay, according to these charging documents. While federal officials offered some details in court documents on how authorities, by the way, some details, all right, some details, not everything, but they gave us some, which we're going to see in a second. I'm going to show you a piece that was highlighted, okay? But only some details in these court documents on how authorities came to zero in on Cole as a suspect. It is not clear if they have determined a motive or whether these boom booms, which were planted on January 5th, all right, had any connection to what happened on January 6th, which, by the way, it would be ridiculous and very, very, let's just say, irresponsible of the DOJ and of the FBI to not look into that as a possible connection. There's no way that you have one thing that happened the night before chaos happened that day. There's no way. There's no way there's a connection here, and I will die on that hill until they prove me otherwise. But there was a connection. There's no way this is coincidentally he's out there going, yeah, I'm just going to make things go boom. Huh? Nah, bro. Nah, it's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. When thousands of supporters of Donald J. Trump, okay, overtook the building in an attempt to halt the certification of Joe Biden's election victory. Now, he lives outside of D.C., so Brian J. Cole Jr. lives in a single-family house in Woodbridge, Virginia. By the way, the photo that we saw, there were other people out here on X putting out white men's faces. Like, it was insane. It was insane. Other black men that were not Brian J. Cole at all. Okay, let me just show you. This is a very distinctive look. Is that not? Okay. He looks like he could be my freaking accountant. You feel me? Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to say it. F it. He looks like the real life embodiment of that movie, Can't Buy Me Love, or Love Don't Cost a Thing. He really does. Okay. The one with Nick Cannon. Real talk. But there ain't no Steve Harvey in this one. All right. Yeah. Moving on. It's something about it. Okay. So again, like I said before, one of the Cole's neighbors said Thursday that he was shocked to learn that the suspect resided on the same block. Nothing ever happens here. He sounds like he really hoped, like he's really excited about this. You know, wow, nothing ever happens here. It's usually a sleepy town. Now we got the J6 pipe person here. Wow, I got a story to tell. Here comes my new book. But moving on, Cole works in the office of a bail bondsman in Northern Virginia. The charging document states Cole's father, Brian Cole Sr., owns a bail bondsman business in Northern Virginia. It is not clear if this is the business where the suspect works, and the father declined to comment today about that. Clearly, he doesn't want to ruin his business. Okay. Now, he went to school in Virginia. Okay. Yeah. Public records do not list Cole's party affiliation, because you know for a fact everybody and their mama wants to know if he's a damn Democrat or if he's a crazy Republican, right? But you got to remember, he went after both buildings. He didn't go after just like the RNC headquarters. He went after the DNC and the RNC. Remember, he's an anarchist. He doesn't give a damn about red or blue. If this is what they're claiming, if he truly is an anarchy, if he's all about the anarchy, he doesn't care about whether you are red or blue. He doesn't care. He wants to see anarchy. You understand? So he allegedly bought, excuse me, guys. He allegedly bought materials consistent with these devices. So in court documents filed Thursday, prosecutors alleged that throughout 2019 and 2020, he purchased items consistent with the components used to manufacture these devices placed at the RNC and DNC. Federal officials allege that he continued to buy materials even after these devices were placed on January 5th. Because if that's the case, it didn't work out, right? It didn't work. It didn't work. So of course he's like, if this is true and it is really him, yeah, he's like, damn, I got to try it again, maybe. So of course, maybe he's buying things over time, over, in small increments because he doesn't want to draw any attention to himself, right? That could be it too. So over time, over a course of a year, right, he could be purchasing things bit by bit, you know what I mean? And then, of course, trying to put together a few more of these types of devices. That's possible. The charging documents state that he bought galvanized pipes, end caps, battery connectors, kitchen timers, electrical wire, and steel wool from retailers, including Home Depot and Walmart to make these actual devices. Cole also purchased safety glasses, sandpaper, protective gloves, and disinfecting wipes in the months leading up to the attack on Capitol Hill. Okay, according to the affidavit. Cell phone tower data pointed to the suspect. So the affidavit states that the FBI also connected Cole to the incident through cell phone tower data. His phone pinged off cell phone towers in the area of the party's headquarters, according to the government. His cell phone engaged in approximately 7 data session transactions with the area's cell phone towers between 7:39 and 8:24 p.m. on January 5th, according to the affidavit. Authorities also used a license plate reader to place Cole in the area around the time these devices were plotted, which is also crazy. According to these charging documents, the affidavit said Cole's 2017 Nissan Sentra was quote unquote observed driving past a license plate reader at South Capitol Street exit from Interstate 395 South, which is less than 1/2 mile from the location where the individual who placed the devices was first observed on foot. Now, hold on. I'm sorry. There's like something in my throat. Hold on. So what's interesting is that, one, he bought all these items. Allegedly, he put all this stuff together, right? He put all this stuff together. And then he drove his car down to that area, okay? Placed the stuff, got back in the car, and then drove back out. Now, I'm sure that wasn't the only car that was driving in that area. Wouldn't you think? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that they're lying to us. I'm just asking the questions. There could have been a multitude of other people that were driving in that area, driving their cars, then getting out, parking it a distance away, and then walking in that area to go place those particular devices in those particular places. Now, I get it. If they're already tracking him with his purchases at Home Depot and whatnot, and mind you, these are purchases that were made over a course of time, over a period of time. This wasn't just him going to Home Depot and just doing a whole haul, right? To put together a device like this. No, it wasn't like that. He was buying these things over a course of time. Like they said, from 2019 to 2020, he was starting to gather these things together, okay, over time, because he didn't want, if it is really him, they did not want them, he did not want them to catch him, right? And I'm sure he was looking at that cookbook. You know what I'm talking about? The cookbook. We all know about the cookbook, all right? And maybe he didn't want, if he was buying specific items that were, kind of red flags for the FBI or the powers that be, he probably was like, okay, I'm only going to buy this one for now, and I'll wait a couple months and then buy this one, buy this next thing, and then buy this next thing, and blah, 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 right? But it is interesting that they're like, okay, we did even read his license plate as he was driving in that area around that same time. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that it isn't possible that it's not possible that it was him. It probably is him, but it is a question that I think all of us should be asking, right? But moving on. Moving on. For all the reasons stated above, there is probable cause that on that day, he is the one who actually placed those devices at the RNC and DNC. All right. So FBI arrived in a quiet neighborhood. So the neighbor who lives 2 houses down from the suspect's home said he was working around 8:30 when he heard sirens and went to see what the commotion was. There were 2 vehicles that resembled Humvees outside, he said. And on the loudspeaker, they were saying, this is the FBI. We have a federal search warrant. And they were telling everyone to come out of the house with their hands up. 2 people came out, but no one was handcuffed, said the neighbor, who did not want to have his name used. Okay. They had maybe 8 to 10 people in camouflage and tactical gear. We already saw all this stuff. Okay. We saw this stuff in this morning's show, which is also, like I said, just pretty crazy stuff that they've, have been saying and what we're seeing right now. Now, I'm just wanting to show you guys a piece of the affidavit showing what they were able to find in this, how they were able to connect the dots in a way. And it's all through the items that he bought over a course of time. It wasn't like he bought this stuff, like I said, in one fell swoop. He bought these things over a course of time. So during 2019 and 2020, Brian Cole Jr., purchased multiple items consistent with the components that were used to manufacture these devices placed at the RNC and DNC. Cole used the accounts to purchase these items from physical retail locations in Northern Virginia. So he didn't buy any of this stuff online. He went to these stores and physically bought these things in stores. But like I said, he bought these things over time. Both pipe bombs were manufactured using a 1x8-inch galvanized pipe with markings consistent with a particular manufacturer, the quote-unquote pipe manufacturer product labeling. Cole purchased a total of 6 galvanized pipes of this size and shape on or about June 1st, June 8th, and November 16th, 2020. The purchases were made at 2 different Home Depot locations in Northern Virginia. According to the pipe manufacturer, approximately 26,000 of these items from manufacturer were sold in 2020, and over 22,000 of these items were sold to Home Depot. Both devices were manufactured using end caps, in quotes, which were used to close the ends of this 8-inch pipe. These devices, placed outside of the RNC and DNC, contained a mix of both black and galvanized end caps. The end caps had markings consistent with pipe manufacturers' product labeling. Cole purchased a total of 12 black end caps and 2 galvanized end caps from 4 different Home Depots in Northern Virginia on or about the following dates: October 22nd, 2019, March 10th, June 20th, July 8th, and November 16th, 2020. According to the pipe manufacturer, approximately 233,000 of those black end caps from pipe manufacturer were distributed in 2020, including to Home Depot. In addition, approximately 1,200 galvanized end caps from pipe manufacturer were distributed in 2020, including to Home Depot. So again, they were able to connect all of these dots. He went into these Home Depots and all of these retail shops buying these items, but he bought them bit by bit over time so he wouldn't get any attention, right? From the powers that be as he was putting this piece together. And again, he's doing it like as far back as October 22nd of 2019. And then it's like several months later in March, then a few months later in June, then the following month in July. Then he waits 4 or 5 months for November or so to come back out and buy something else again. So it's very interesting. He was very, very focused. And I don't know if it was a situation where, like I said, he just didn't want to get caught or something of that sort. But nonetheless, it's very, very interesting what we're hearing about this guy. This is also crazy. Hold on, guys. Because I know there's a lot of people that are starting to say certain things like, they finally have this affidavit, this criminal complaint that has been put together about Brian Cole Jr., and it's all been shown. Like they were able to trace his purchase records and cell phone data and all that, and it took them 5 years to do this. Real talk, 5 years to do all of this? Why? Why did it take 5 years to do all of this? If it was just as simple as running these serial numbers and just doing reverse math, like I said, the way that Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino and Cash Patel all said it, it just seemed like they were like, yo, this was simple math. And the Biden administration did not do anything about it. It just seems a little bit odd, don't you think? Don't you think? And here's the thing, classic one. Yeah, no, there's no, there wouldn't be a manifesto. If you really think about it, there would not be, because he wasn't going off. He wasn't going away with them. Does that make sense? He was placing those devices and walking away. He did not want to get caught. So again, if this is really the guy, he wanted nothing to do with getting the glory and the recognition for dropping these things off. Look at the footage. He is layered up. At least I guess that's what it is. He's layered up. He's covering his whole face, right? I just don't see this is a guy who wanted to get the glory, to be known for this. He was hiding. So yeah, there was no letter, unless he wanted to be one of those like serial type of bombers out there. Like why does this make me think of it's a Jeff Bridges movie. There was a sequel that was absolutely diabolical. The sequel was called Arlington Road, but the first one was called something else, and I can't remember right now. Blown Away. It was called Blown Away, if I'm correct. Blown Away, right? You guys remember that movie? Anybody remember? I watch a lot of movies. But anyway, no, not Tron. Not Tron. No, Blown Away. It was called Blown Away. And he was I don't know what kind of cop he was, but he was following a serial boom boomer, okay? Somebody who was, going off and making things go boom, right? And he was chasing this guy down. And he eventually gets the guy. But then the sequel is crazy. The sequel is diabolical. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. But like I said, it makes me think of that. If it was to be like that, like if he was to make this thing go boom and get away with it, but then he went off and continued to do this more and more, right? This would be insane. This kind of thing would be absolutely insane. But like I said, people are just not fully believing the hype about this guy being the guy. Real talk. There's a lot of people out here that are like, you can miss me with the nonsense. You can miss me with this. I just don't see it, so on and so forth. Okay. But let's take a look at some video. It gives me a chance to drink a little bit of water here real quick as well. Hold on.
Fox, I am Andy Mack. We are following new details right now about an FBI arrest on Thursday into that 5-year-old investigation into pipe bombs found outside of the headquarters of the Republican and Democratic national parties in Washington on the eve of January 6th. 2021. And these were some of the images we were getting into our newsroom earlier on today as they have arrested this individual in this case, Brian Cole Jr., as the arrest marks the first time investigators settled on a suspect in an act that had long vexed law enforcement, spawning a multitude of conspiracy theories, remained an enduring mystery in the shadow of a dark chapter of American history. The suspect in custody, identified as Brian Cole, two of the people said living in Woodbridge. This is where the aerials we're looking at right now. Let's continue on here on Live Now from Fox, because these pipe bombs were placed on the evening of January 5th, 2021, near the offices of the DNC and RNC in Washington, D.C. Nobody was hurt before the bombs were rendered safe. The FBI said both devices could have been lethal. Let's continue on here on Live Now from Fox and bring into the conversation someone that knows quite a bit about all of this. Former FBI special agent, a master bomb tech, Barry Black. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And it's interesting to see that this investigation took this long to find this individual. What are they looking for when they're at this individual's home in Woodbridge, Virginia?
Well, when those devices were rendered safe, there was a good bit of information that was recovered, components to the device itself. So I would anticipate they're looking for documentation regarding construction of the devices. It appears that some of the similar components were purchased even after these two IDs were put down prior to the January 6 events. So records pertaining to their purchase, their construction, and even some.
What is up with this camera angle? This is the worst angle I've ever seen. What is going on here?
Some of the components themselves that were purchased after these two devices were made.
Yeah, I do want to get into that. Some of this.
What the hell?
Obviously, as a master bomb technician, you have been focusing on Oklahoma City, the Atlanta Olympic bombing, and others that obviously infamous in American history. I do want to list some of these here on Live Now from Fox of what they found in this criminal complaint. As the FBI saying there was a 1-inch 1-inch by 8-inch pipe, the end caps affixed to the pipe, some 16-gauge electrical wire, alligator clips, the 9-volt battery and connector, a white kitchen timer, paper clips, steel wool, homemade black powder. In terms of this, Barry, is this something that's frequent in a type of pipe bomb? Is this what you would expect to find?
Yeah, certainly. The pipe bombs are most common in this country, galvanized steel or even PVC. As I understand it, there were half a dozen of those types of pipes purchased, a commensurate number of end caps purchased as well. The alligator clips, the kitchen timers, the steel wool, all of the things that were discovered after the render safe procedure were tied directly to purchases by Mr. Cole.
And they said they were lethal. Can you give us an understanding? It took them 17 plus hours to find them, but they didn't go off. No one was hurt. How lethal could this have been?
Well, pipe bombs are, by definition, a lethal device with an explosive filler material such as black powder, even homemade black powder. They will burn at a very high rate. The gas that's produced from that burning overcomes the container's strength, and it ruptures them very, very violently. So the bits and pieces of that pipe would be projected at high rates of speed and produce property damage, personal injury, and even death.
Yeah, and obviously we're looking at some of this surveillance video that they had to piece it together, and this individual might have surveilled the region. And we do know that they were in Woodbridge, Virginia, potentially living with their parents. In terms of the net that the FBI cast for this, just based on the ability of him to surveil the area, does that give him a sense that it could have been close to D.C.? Do you think that is a possibility?
Well, obviously, pre-planning, if you know where the two locations were, the RNC and DNC were both very near the capital region. He was in Woodbridge, Virginia, not that far from the DC area. So potential surveillance is obviously possible. I'm certain the FBI and our partners have gone through all the available video and still imagery leading up to the placement of these devices. And there'll be more information to gather after these search warrants.
Yeah, I'm curious about what is going to go on here, because I know that there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of questions about all this, whether they are actually, like I said, people are side-eyeing this situation. Seems very strange that after 5 whole years, simple math, a simple investigation is what caused them to get this guy. 5 years, and it took them this long to do 2 + 2 = 4. It just seems a little weird. Now, does that mean anything? Or could it just be that the Biden administration just dropped the ball big time on that situation? It might be that. It might truly be that. Real talk, guys. I know some people don't want to know that, right? Some people may not want to have that in their minds. Like, that there's no possible way, the Trump administration is the only one that's corrupt. No, the Biden administration was corrupt as well. Okay, let's be real. And there could have been a situation where they just did not do their due diligence when they were supposed to be doing their due diligence. That could be it too. But the fact that it's the timing and the fact that it's the Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel front that we're seeing, of course, we're all sitting there side-eyeing all of this and wondering how much of this is actually true and how much of this is not true. Now, one thing is for sure. Everybody named Mama wants to know about his affiliation or what was his motive. Why did he do what he did? Now, again, let me just repeat this, because there's people out here talking about how he helped with immigrants and sued his dad, or he and his dad's company sued the DHS due to immigration. As of recently, their lawyer is BLM or something like that. It doesn't freaking matter. Just because they have a lawyer that's BLM does not mean that they're just automatically BLM. Here's the other thing too, and they might be too. Who cares? He's evil. If he tried to do this, he's evil. But here's the other piece too. He's also an anarchist. Anarchy does not want rule, does not want order. They want disorder. Okay? They want disorder. Like that System of the Down song, okay? Disorder, disorder. They want disorder. They want chaos. They don't want hierarchy. They do not want the pillars of the government. They do not want any of those things. They do not want a structure. So they do not work for anybody. They are solo dolo. They are lone wolves out there. Straight up. So who cares? Whether he had a BLM lawyer or not, he is, what they say, is an anarchist. So what we really want to know is, why did he do this? which clearly goes back to the anarchy side. But outside of that is not only why did he do this, but who else helped him? Because he did not do this by himself. He did not plan all this stuff by himself. Why would you go and plant these devices the night before J6 happens? There's no way that all of that happened on the same time, all at the same time, within hours of each other. If you really think about it, hours of each other. It wasn't 24 hours. It was hours, less than a day from each other. Why did this happen? Who helped him make it happen? And what group was he working alongside? Because if you have an anarchist, he could have been working for the Republicans, somebody who happens to be hardcore right, or could have been somebody who is hardcore, radicalized left, radicalized on either side. You never know. And anarchist means they're a free mother-loving agent. Think about that too. They have no affiliation. They don't care. They just want to see chaos for the sake of seeing chaos. They want to see it all go crumbling down. They don't care. In fact, he was probably rejoicing when the J6 stuff was going down. He was probably like, yeah, okay, those things didn't go off, but all this stuff is going down and I love it. Take it all down. Burn it all to the ground. You see what I'm saying? He's a free mother-loving agent, y'all. He's willing to play on any side if it means taking things down. Remember that, guys. Remember that. Doesn't matter if he's got affiliations with BLM organizations or if he knows hardcore right-wing people. Doesn't matter. He's a free agent. And you also got to remember, he placed these boom booms, these devices at the RNC and the DNC. It wasn't just one spot. It was both of them because he wanted it all to go down. And maybe J6 was supposed to be even more intense than it actually turned out to be, even though that was pretty damn intense, if you ask me. But maybe they were thinking that, okay, we have these things go off. While these things are going off, we have all that going on over here, and there will be a full-on takeover. The people will take over the government. Maybe that's what it was. Don't know. But again, free agent. Okay? And I don't mean like free agent, like, no, he clearly was working for somebody, right? Or working along with somebody. But like I said, the fact that he had no affiliation to anyone, that's what makes him even more dangerous because he's willing to do whatever to the highest bidder, if you really think about it. Think about that. He doesn't care as long as he gets his point across. So again, now, of course, that's just a theory. That's just my opinion. I could be 110% wrong, but it is very interesting nonetheless, don't you think? He has no political affiliation. He is a known anarchist. This is at least what they have said to us, okay? What the feds have said to us, as far as the public, right? That is very interesting. That means he has no affiliation. He doesn't give a damn about that. He wants to see it all go down in flames. So, chaos would make him happy. Which is also wild because, you look at this guy, one more again, and he's an anarchist. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that a little wild? Like, look at him. You know what I mean? Like, he, in actuality, he probably like moonlights going out to all these weird, crazy parties, dressed in all black leather, nothing but body piercings all over the place. He probably tattooed up to his neck. We just don't see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing. It's a joke, okay? It's a joke. But at the same time, this guy is an anarchist. Hiding in plain sight. Steve Urkel is out here going, let it all burn. Crazy. Crazy. So we got to get into the next story. Now, this is something that I think is very interesting. There's been a lot of bad things that have been popping off with the Pentagon and with the Trump administration. And it's beyond the Epstein stuff. It's beyond the whatever's going on with the Charlie Kirk stuff. It's beyond this stuff that we're talking about now with this, or we just finished talking about with this J6, Brian Cole Jr. individual. We'll see how that all transpires. And hopefully they come out with more evidence. I want to see that stuff myself too. Okay. But outside of that, the Pentagon has been in some serious trouble, especially Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth has been in hot water for a very, very extended period of time. I think he's been in hot water a lot longer than he'd like to be completely honest. Okay. Because right now he's got an admiral just got done getting testified just recently. All right. Just today about things that happened in the Caribbean where they did a lethal double tap on a boat that they struck. Okay. There were survivors, 2 survivors to be exact. They banged a Huey, went back. Higher up said, take them all out. And they dropped another boom, boom. They dropped another one on them, struck them again, and sent them to the bottom of the ocean. Okay? 2 men that were basically trying to just tread water, hanging onto debris. Okay? In my personal opinion, yes, if they are truly terrorists, as they were basically calling these individuals narco-terrorisms, okay? Terrorists, okay? Then yes, they're bad guys. Absolutely. But if you really think about it, all right? If you really think about it, their boat went boom, boom. And all they're doing is holding on to burning debris, trying to survive. Now, sure, the ocean would probably take them under eventually, if they're not lucky enough. But in actuality, they're not doing anything illegal at that moment, right? They're just trying to survive. Now, what's interesting about this is they still swung back and went boo-boosh and made sure these guys were gone. Now, again, like I said, you have an Admiral Bradley going and testifying this morning about all of this stuff. Pete Hegseth is basically throwing him under the bus for all of these things, for all of these claims, when Pete Hegseth is the one that should be on the chopping block himself. He's the one who's been sitting there saying, kill them all and all that stuff. He's the one who's been saying those things. He's the higher up that said, take them out. Okay? Now, something else happened today. A few hours ago, I'm not kidding, another U.S. strike on a whole other boat. This time in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Whole other one. And they're saying, yep, it's boats filled with substances. Take them out. So that's exactly what they did. While the admiral is under fire and being testifying and being questioned about actions that happened just a few weeks ago, they still continued like nothing ever happened. They didn't care. And I want to tell you this is a bipartisan reaction. This is not just the Democrats, these damn Democrats, going over and saying, well, you Republicans done lost your mind. This is lethal and this is illegal. These are war crimes, sugar. Nope, they're not. It's both sides are looking at Pete Hegseth sideways and saying, the hell wrong with you, bro? Damn, you out of pocket for this stuff, son. Calm the F down. That's literally what's going on. But Pete Hegseth is turning to the admiral who actually made the call, okay, who echoed what the call from above made to him. He's throwing him under the bus saying, yeah, he should resign. That's what he should do. That's what he needs to do. Resign. And in the meantime, they still went out today and annihilated, completely obliterated another boat. So they're not even learning from this situation. They're continuing like nothing even happened. Let's take a look at this. This is insane. Okay. So U.S. Southern Command says it conducted a new lethal kinetic strike on another alleged boat that was allegedly moving weight as well, guys. Okay. So U.S. Southern Command said today, that the Defense Department carried out another lethal strike at Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's direction on a vessel in the Eastern Pacific Ocean that took the life of 4 men. Let me show you guys the tweet here. And you're going to see the footage right here. And fair warning, well, too late, but fair warning, it's not the greatest. All right. So it says here, U.S. Southern Command just said this on December 4th at the direction of Pete Hegseth, okay, Secretary of War now, not just defense now, it's just war. And you know what? That title makes more sense now, more than ever. Don't you think? Or am I the only one who thinks that now? But Pete Hegseth, Joint Task Force Southern Spear, conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel in the international waters operated by a designated terrorist organization. Yeah, they actually said that. Designated terrorist organization. Oh, okay. That's very specific. Intelligence confirmed that the vessel was carrying illicit narcotics, guys, and transiting along a known narco trafficking route in the Eastern Pacific. 4 male, they say, narco terrorists aboard the vessel lost their lives. Now, here's the thing. How do they know? How do they know for sure? How do they know for sure? Here's the thing. Like I said, obviously I'm not them. Okay. I'm not the U.S. Southern Command. I am not Pete Hegseth. Okay. Obviously there's a lot of information that they know about that I know nothing about. Okay. Let's be completely real. Keeping it a freaking bean. This is the footage right here as we speak. Okay. Keeping it a mother-loving bean. I'm going to make it smaller. Okay. But in actuality, okay, if you really think about it, and I'm going to take this down because, we don't need to see all that. You've seen it. You saw it. It's not great. Okay. But the fact that they're sitting there saying, oh, yeah, these boats are actually doing that. They're transporting substances and they're taking a route that other narco terries take. Are we sure about that? Here's the other thing, too. They say these boats are filled with substances, but a lot have said that they have not even shown proof of that they're actually moving weight, right? The fact that they keep doing this is, I think, bigger than what they're trying to show us. Let me just say this. Venezuela has a lot of oil. Yeah. Sorry. Venezuela has a lot of oil. Okay, I say oil. They have a lot of oil. You don't think that maybe they're trying to, get in there and strong arm that oil from Venezuela? They say, oh, yeah, these boats are filled with terrible things that are coming in, that are getting trafficked into our country and taking the lives of our loved ones. They're killing millions and millions of Americans every single day by their tainted substances that they're bringing up, right? Are we sure that's actually happening? In fact, they called the president of Venezuela a Terry as well. But then at the same mother-loving time, get this, Get this, and we talked about this before, okay? But at the same mother-loving time, you have President Trump pardoning the ex-president of Honduras, who happened to be one of the biggest smugglers, traffickers in the history of the Western Hemisphere. Millions and millions and millions of pounds of yayo being poured, snowing over here like a damn blizzard in America by this man, ex-president of Honduras. Shouldn't he be number one thought of as a narco Terry then? But yet he gets pardoned by Trump. Notoriously known for moving copious amounts of weight. And yet he's looking at Venezuela and saying, no, we don't like this. We're just going to drop bombs harder than Hiroshima on all these boats that are driving by. What's going on here? What's going on here? Does that make any earthly sense to you? Because it doesn't make any earthly sense to me. Okay? It really does not. I would love to get a better understanding of what the hell's going on here. I would really like to know what the hell is really going on here, because there's too many things where, like I said, you have a second strike on a boat that shouldn't have happened, but they are just sitting there just with bloodlust for some strange reason. They don't care. They're not even learning from the situation. They're not even scaling back and saying, oh, no. Let's just hold on for a second. We got some stuff going on. And now there's items of impeachment. Okay. Articles of impeachment being served or being put out here, trying to impeach Pete Hegseth because of his strange dealings. Okay. He's been doing some wild things, y'all. Okay. Leaking information that he shouldn't be leaking, all this stuff. All right. And again, he is looking at some serious, I mean, if anything, he could lose his job. He could literally lose his job. But let's take a look at this.
And the Secretary of Defense has asserted that the admiral is the one who made the call for a follow-up strike that day, targeting the survivors who were in the water after the initial strike. The military brass was taking questions behind closed doors from lawmakers, but CNN has exclusive reporting tonight from sources with direct knowledge of those briefings that the admiral told them that the two survivors in the water did not appear to have radio or other communications devices. That matters because defense officials that we've been hearing from have been quietly arguing that the survivors were legitimate targets because they appeared to be radioing for help or backup, reinforcements that could theoretically allow them to have continued to traffic the drugs that were on board that boat. However, despite that, and according to our new reporting here at CNN tonight from my colleagues, Admiral Bradley today acknowledged that those two survivors were in no position to make a distress call.
They were in pain. They were jacked up. They were trying to literally tread water. You really think that they're running over? Hey, man, come on. Do you think they have the energy to do that? After surviving something going boom, boom on your ass? I'm just saying, these guys, in my personal opinion, when you hear the admiral actually under oath say that these guys were not radioing back for backup or for help or anything of that sort, shows you that they were jacked up. They were just trying to survive, straight up. But they still swept back and dropped it on they asses and took them out.
The level of satisfaction with these answers that lawmakers got today seemed to depend, though, on whether or not they were Democrats or Republicans.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service.
They were exactly what we'd expect our military commanders to do. I didn't see anything disturbing about it. I have more policy questions than ever about the framing of the mission, the rules of engagement.
My source tonight is the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. What did you see on that video today that you can tell us tonight?
Well, it's disturbing on two levels. First, I agree with Senator Coons. The overall mission. What is the war that we are fighting here, and what are the rules of engagement? Because if it's a war, it's one thing. If it's not, it's a different thing. And the whole underpinning of the entire mission is in question. And this only raises those questions further. And on this specific second strike, we got a lot of bad information from Secretary Hegseth. I remember, first of all, he said fake news didn't happen. That's well, it happened, but he took the shot. It was the fog of war. We couldn't see. It's very, very clear in this video, which, by the way, should be made public. You had two shipwrecked people on the top of the tiny little bit of the boat that was left, that was capsized, the bow. They weren't signaling to anybody. And the idea that these two were going to be able to return to the fight, even if you accept all of the questionable legal premises around this mission, around these strikes, it's still very hard to imagine how these two were returning to any sort of fight in that condition.
So you could easily see the survivors.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Now, there were times, this video played out over an extended period of time. There was roughly 48 minutes between the first strike and the second strikes. They used 3 missiles the second time. In those 48 minutes, sometimes there was a cloud cover and the drones weren't there. But at the time of the strike, you could clearly see the two people on the boat.
And they weren't calling, radioing in, anything like that.
I mean, if they had a radio device on them, it must have been really small, because it sure wasn't apparent from looking at the video. And they certainly did not appear to be signaling to anybody.
Can you square that with Senator Tom Cotton saying that they were trying to flip a boat that was loaded with drugs over that was bound for the United States? Is that what you saw?
That's patently ridiculous. I mean,
that's not true in your view.
Gosh, Admiral Bradley didn't even pretend that was the case. There was no way they were turning this boat back over. The boat was completely disabled, and Admiral Bradley admitted that. It was drifting with the current. It was going to.
So in other words, they completely obliterated the boat, and all they were doing was just trying to hold on to the boat. And the fact that they're like, well, no, they were going to flip it over and they were going to continue on the mission. Are you out your mind? You're even hearing this representative, Adam Smith. He's sitting there going like, no. Even the admiral said, there's no way that they would have been able to do this because the thing was basically destroyed. The boat was destroyed. They were just trying to survive. Let's continue.
Go wherever the current was going to take them. And I don't know. I didn't see all 48 minutes between the first and second strike, maybe for the first 10. But it appears that the boat was split at least in half. I mean, there was this tiny little bit of the bow that was still, capsized. They weren't trying to flip anything over, first of all. Second of all, there is the claim that the drugs still could have been there. There's no real evidence of that. You see the first strike, boat's on fire, flips over, maybe in that tiny portion of the boat. But that's speculation, and it certainly wasn't clear from the video.
So those two survivors are floating on that small part of the boat that's left over.
Correct.
Did he explain why they struck those survivors?
Yeah, because he was arguing two things. One, that it was possible that the drugs, which were the target from this in the first place, were still there. Two, somebody could have helped them and helped them carry out their mission. Now, they didn't see any other boat. They didn't see any other plane. It was just sort of possible. And the argument was they were in a position to potentially return to, quote, the fight. And that's where we get back to the original question. What is the fight? In Iraq and Afghanistan, they were shooting at us. They were trying to blow us up. It was very clear what the fight was. Here, they're trying to ship cocaine somewhere. We're not even sure that it was going to the U.S., by the way. I mean, that's a pretty broad definition of a fight that gives the president and the secretary of defense lethal authority over a lot of people without any due process.
So based on today's briefing, was that second strike justified?
Oh, that's a legal conclusion. I have big questions about whether or not it was justified. I'm not willing to say, yeah, that was unjustified. This is a war crime. But what I will tell you is this demands much more investigation, much more transparency to get those answers, to get greater clarity on what the rules of engagement were and how they applied in this particular circumstance. This did not set that issue to rest.
You said it. Interesting,
right? Now, when things get blurred, okay, when there's blurred lines, you know what I mean? It gets me, it worries me because it instantly makes me think that justice isn't fully going to get got. Does that make sense? You know, okay, for example, look at, and I know this is a little bit of a left turn, but just ride with me for a second. It's like the Diddy trial. Yeah, I'm mentioning the Diddy trial. All right. It's like the Diddy trial. There was a lot of stuff that was blatantly wrong with that trial. But for some odd reason, with the jury, they looked at that information and they saw a lot of blurred lines. So we see something like this. Oh, not him, but I mean the situation of the second strike that happened on that boat, right? And you see that there's a lot of blurred lines here. Within that blurriness, it worries me that we may not get the full extent of what I think is the right thing to do, right? If there was wrong being done, if there was a war crime that was actually committed, I don't think that the blurred lines, the blurriness of this situation is going to help the situation. They're going to find a way to maneuver around this so that they're not hit with a war crime. That's what I truly think. Like I said, when it comes to the Diddy trial, there was so much blurriness that they utilized that to a T, which, by the way, was insane because a lot of it's like, wow, you heard all that stuff from all those people and you're still going, nah, it just wasn't good enough for me. It wasn't enough. I needed more. It's like, what? You need more what? You know, crazy, right? But there was a lot of blurriness in there. This situation, right? Oh, yeah, well, you know, I can't really say if it was completely out of pocket, out of like wrong and out of pocket what they did. I can't really say that, but I can also say that it was pretty messed up. So, but I just don't know if it's legal or wrong, if it's legal or illegal. So we're just going to there's got to be more investigation in the situation before we can actually say anything about that stuff. Blurred lines. Blurred. And of course, when it comes to blurry stuff like that, things seem to get askew over time. The storyline, the opinions, etc., start to get blurry themselves and start to get a little askew. And it'll be a situation where this becomes a nothing burger. Shoot, we'll already be at war with Venezuela at that point, baby. So we'll see how this transpires, but I don't think it's going to transpire the way that a lot of other people are hoping that it does.
Times there was cloud cover, but when Secretary Hegseth said the other day that it was fog of war, is that how you would characterize what you saw today?
That's idiotic. Okay. I mean, I understand the fog of war. People are shooting at you. You see a guy, you know, okay, you blew up the vehicle they're in. Are they armed? We had video for 48 minutes of two guys hanging off the side of a boat. All right. There was plenty of time to make a clear and sober analysis. I don't think Admiral Bradley would disagree with that. There was, oh my gosh, we're in a hurry. Is there a car bomb? Is it going to hit us? No. Two guys floating on a capsized piece of a boat in the middle of the ocean.
Did he argue as self-defense? That's the other thing that we have heard from the White House.
Self-defense of what? I mean, the extended argument is these guys were trafficking cocaine. It is conceivable that that cocaine still existed, might have wound up in the U.S., and then might have caused some harm. But is so attenuated. I've already made that point, so I won't make it again. But yeah, it's a real stretch.
You want the video released publicly?
Absolutely. There's nothing classified about that video. The OLC memo, the Office of Legal Counsel memo justifying this whole thing, which is nonsensical if you read it, ought to be made public.
And you want Secretary Hegseth to testify?
Absolutely. It's just, and also dumping this on Admiral Bradley, completely wrong. This is
I agree. This is wrong that he threw Admiral Bradley under the bus. I agree with that 110%. And yeah, the fact that you heard him react to the whole question about self-defense. He's like, are you kidding me? We were in the sky. They have a completely destroyed boat and they're treading water in the ocean. What are you on? Self-defense. Stupidest, most asinine thing anyone could ever say. They were in the water. Absolutely vulnerable. Okay? So again, just the things and the reasons that they pulled out of their ass to try to justify any of this stuff is insane. Because you just heard they struck, then it was 48 minutes they circled back and then annihilated them again. Why 48 minutes? Right? They went, they came back 48 minutes. There are two guys with a pieces of a boat that's already smashed, blown to smithereens. They're holding on to pieces of a boat, trying to survive. 48 minutes. It's not like they were shooting at the sky, trying to take down the plane. And what did they do? They just went back and dropped it like it's hot on them again. So again, like I said, it's just, like, come on now. Come on now. The excuses are just ridiculous.
Secretary Hegseth's mission. He's out there talking tough about everything, saying he doesn't have to obey the law in many instances, putting the service members on the front line of this. Secretary Hegseth ought to own this. It is his choice, his call. He's the one who did this, and President Trump. That's the civilian leadership that drove this.
How did Admiral Bradley come across today?
Very respectable. I mean, it was challenging. It was the Senator Reid, Congressman Rogers, and Senator Wicker in the room, and Jack Reed and I in particular were very challenging. He's a smart, respectful guy.
Let me just say this. Somebody just said this too. No Joy here just said, I bet that Admiral lied to them or for them. Let me just say this. It sounds like he's not. Because if he was really there to try to protect Pete Hegseth, shoot, even Trump, for that matter, he wouldn't be saying any of this stuff. He would just be like, yes, I was very concerned. We were very concerned about these guys going back out there and doing all that stuff. We decided to go in and do what we did. But that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like Admiral Bradley is like, no, we didn't need to do that. Here's the footage. You could see it for yourself. So it doesn't seem like he's lying for Trump or Pete Hegseth. I think he's trying to save his own ass right now. Real talk. But, we'll see how it all transpires, right?
I'm good at his job. I have a problem with that. I have serious questions about the judgment on this particular decision, but it was a good conversation.
I think my question is, listening to what you had to say, what Jim Himes had to say, what Senator Cotton had to say, is how did Democrats and Republicans watch the same video and come out with two very different takeaways?
Well, let me just say, in this factual situation, what I heard Senator Cotton say, even Admiral Bradley wouldn't agree with that. This idea that they were active, they were radioing for help, they were getting ready to turn the boat back over. As I said, that's patently absurd based on the video. All right. Now, if you want to come out and say, look, screw drug dealers. They should be killed anywhere, any place, anytime, no due process, no nothing. They're just that bad. We can't take the chance. Okay, make that argument. Let's have that conversation. But throughout this process, they've been making stuff up. Remember, again, didn't happen, never happened. Oh, well, it happened, but fog of war. We couldn't see anything. Oh, they're trying to turn the boat over. Oh, they were communicating. All those things turned out to be lies. And keep in mind, Caitlin, they had this video, all right? They weren't guessing. They could see clearly what happened, and they were spreading a story that was clearly untrue. And if it wasn't for the Washington Post, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because they were trying to suppress it and not allow it to be public.
Yeah, listen. You heard what he just said, right? That last part is massive because he's sitting there saying, hey, listen, they had the information. They had the footage. And they try to make it seem like nothing ever happened. And then when people started to press for more questions or press for more answers, they started to pull out more lies, more excuses. Well, it was the fog of war. There was bullets flying everywhere. We couldn't see nothing. There was a firefight. Nope. That wasn't the case. We don't have the footage. Oh, we didn't see that. They were about to do some bad things. They were turning over the boat. They were trying to turn over the boat so that they could finish their mission. They were doing this, that, and the third. The fog of war. We saw bullets and all this stuff. We just couldn't think straight. So that's why all this stuff went down. But guess what? This particular representative and others were in the room and they watched the footage themselves and saw that they lied, guys. They freaking lied. They pulled out every excuse that they could in the book. And then when it was finally time to face the music, Now they're just sitting there going, well, it's the admiral's fault. And he's like, what? Spit take. What? Me? So of course, you're going to see this admiral not lie on their behalf. But it's his whole career and job on the line for this particular moment. So yeah, he's going to be like, let's see the footage. Show them the footage. See it for yourself. What I saw and what we saw when this whole thing went down. No, they were not flipping over the boat to go and continue moving those substances. No, they weren't shooting back at us. No, they weren't acting in any type of way that would make us feel like we were scared for ourselves and for our livelihood. No, there was no fog of war where it was just chaos and we were just dropping bombs and we just didn't know what to do with ourselves. It was just so insane. We just lost all types of, weren't able to come up with any type of cohesive thought. We just started hitting the bombs. That's all we did, right? But no, the footage shows something completely different, which means they were lying. And what the footage shows is that they did it. They didn't do everything that they could. They dropped the bombs. They left. They came back 48 minutes later. The boats were not flipped over. The boat was basically just a bunch of debris in the ocean. These guys were holding on to pieces of the boat. They were not flipping it over. They did not pull out an AK and start like that. You know what I mean? Damn Americans! You know what I mean? They didn't do any of that. None of that. They were just treading water, floating in the water. 48 minutes, they came back and dropped bombs on their asses again. That's it. That's literally it. And you got Pete Hegseth and Trump and the administration literally lying. Lying. And of course, again, like I said, they struck another boat, but this time in the Eastern Pacific Ocean. Okay? Why? Why did they do that? I mean, obviously we already know why they did it, but like why they do it. But why did they do this again? When in actuality, we are literally in the middle, or they are literally in the middle of being questioned right now for what they did in the Caribbean to a boat that they should have just been one and done and been done with it. Like I said before, they say that these boats are filled with substances. Do they know? Do they have proof positive every single boat that's leaving is filled with substances every time? What if it's just a boat that's going out there? What if it's just a boat filled with people? Completely obliterating these boats and the people in them. And right there, you're seeing in real time lies being displayed by the administration, by Pete Hegseth. Lies. They're doing everything they can to cover their own butt. This is not good. See, this is the problem, okay? Because obviously we're going to have plenty of people, right? There's going to be plenty of people out here that are going to have their specific opinions about this because they have their own political bias. And I get it. Do you, boo-boo? Stand on the side that you want to be on, all right? I don't care, okay? I just want us all to live a good, happy life. But one thing I cannot stand is somebody who's going to go out of their way to lie to the American people like we're dumb. And again, this is one of those things where we're being lied to again. And they're getting caught in real time. They're getting caught in real time. Let me just roll that back one more time. I want you guys to hear exactly what this guy is saying because this is exactly what's happening in real time. We're all seeing this, okay? We're all seeing this, guys, in real time. One more time.
All right. Now, if you want to come out and say, look, screw drug dealers. They should be killed anywhere, any place, anytime, no due process, no nothing. They're just that bad. We can't take the chance. Okay, make that argument. Let's have that conversation. But throughout this process, they've been making stuff up. Remember, again,
Oh,
it
yes.
didn't happen, never happened.
Yep.
Oh, what happened? But fog of war, we couldn't see anything. Oh, they're trying to turn the boat over. Oh, they were communicating. All those things turned out to be lies. And keep in mind, Caitlin,
4 lies in a row, 4 of them. And now these individuals were able to see the footage with their own 2 eyes just to see that all those lies that they pulled out were lies.
they had this video. All right.
And that's the other part.
They weren't guessing. They could see clearly what happened, and they were spreading a story that was clearly untrue. And if it wasn't for the Washington Post, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Again, 4 separate lies and many others. Okay. And all the while, they were holding on to that footage. They knew exactly what they did. They knew exactly what they did was wrong. They knew exactly where they messed up and where they could be looked at in a very, very bad way. And what did they do? They got together in a room and they concocted some sort of excuse. At first, it was what he just said earlier, right? That it never happened. That what they were saying, what they were claiming was a lie. It was a fugazi. Then later on, it was, oh no, they were flipping over the boat. That's why we took them out. That was a lie too. Then it was the fog of war. We couldn't see anything. So we just had to double tap to make sure that we actually hit our target, which is not true at all. 48 minutes they came back. So all the chaos, all that stuff, 48 minutes. There's no fog after that. So that's a lie too. All of those things and then some. Pete Hegseth and Trump, the administration, came together and came up with those excuses. Then now they are turning to Admiral Bradley and saying, oh, it's his fault. He needs to resign. He's the one who made the order. And that's not actually the full truth. This is the problem that we're seeing, right? We're seeing countless times, okay? More and more information that's coming out that is just a lie after a lie after a lie after a lie after a lie. More times where they're trying to create some sort of narrative that they're trying to run with because they think we're dumb enough to actually run with it. And you know what? I'm going to be real. Some people are dumb enough to run with it, okay? There's information that I've heard from people's mouths, and I'm like, word, you really believe that? Word? You really believe that? Because that's a lie, right? Oh, it's all a Democrat hoax, right? Haven't we heard that a bunch of times about a lot of other things? Oh, it's just one big Democrat hoax. Gaslighting the hell out of people. No, what you saw is not what you saw. It's the complete opposite. No, that wasn't a man taking candy from a baby. That was a man giving candy to a baby. You just saw the video in reverse, sweetheart. That's all. That's insane. And now we're seeing that in real time over and over and over again. This is the reason why ratings, his approval rating is plummeting. This is the reason why people are side-eyeing this administration, because they can't keep their story straight and they can't give us just the truth. And I'm going to tell you this too. This is the problem as well. They say as much as they can, they're going to be as transparent. This is the most transparent administration you've ever seen. When in actuality, they might be the most vague, the most, what's the word? Untransparent? Okay. Administration that we may have ever seen. Biden's wasn't so great either. But you get what I'm saying. Okay? So again, this is bad. Yeah, it could be most corrupt. Or one of the most corrupt. Because there were other administrations that were pretty damn corrupt. Okay? But this one's pretty bad. And how they like to sit here and passionately gesticulate and, congratulate themselves, right? Look at what we did. But it's like, are we sure you're even telling us the full truth here? That's the problem. And that's why all of us start looking like conspiracy theorists, starting to get our Candace Owens on, wearing our damn tinfoil hat all day long because we can't trust this person. We can't trust fully the administration. It's unfortunate. Like I said, it's like when a person cheats on another, right? When the girlfriend or boyfriend, when the lover cheats on their significant other, the significant other is going to always, and they caught him, by the way, they're always going to side eye every single thing that person does until that trust is gained back or they break up, right? Because they're just going to start spinning out of control. Like, yeah, baby, I just need to go down to the gas station and get a pack of cigarettes. I'll be right back. No, you're not doing that. You're going to go see her, aren't you? You're going to go see her again. You know what I mean? And it's like, baby, I thought we went through this like 5 years ago again. Baby, I love you. I love you. I made a mistake, girl. I'm just going down the street. Take my phone. You can go through it while I go down the street and get a pack of cigarettes, girl. Damn. Right? It's kind of like that now. Everything that's happening right now, we're all, I feel like, wearing tinfoil hats. And now whenever they go, we have done something amazing. We have caught the January 6th pipe device bomber guy, right? We all go, did you know? Because we remember what happened with Epstein. You see what I'm saying? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's unfortunate because now we all look like the crazy girlfriend, boyfriend that got cheated on, right? And we're all just sitting there going, when is he just going to tell the truth? Why is he just not being real with me? You know what I'm saying? Is he really going down there to get a pack of cigarettes, or is he going to go see her again? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? And now we're in that ish. All of us are in this toxic relationship together. Ain't that wonderful? Ain't that wonderful? Yeah. Welcome to the suck. Welcome to the mother-loving suck. We got 3 more years. Maybe this toxic relationship could get right. And I don't mean right, politically, okay? I'm just saying maybe it could get right. Maybe it could fix itself. But I don't know. Because if it keeps going in this trajectory where you got individuals literally causing things that they're considering war crimes, and they're going, no, that's not what you saw. And it's like, baby, we saw it. We saw it in this room. The public ain't seen it, but all of us did see it. And what you said didn't exist does exist. So yeah, you in trouble, homie. That's it. That's it. But if we're in that trajectory, I don't know how this administration is going to right itself. Okay? Because this thing's completely sideways. But we're here to talk about it. We are in this suck together. Okay? This is our elected official or officials. So we're going to see how this whole thing goes down. But I'm telling you right now, I side-eye the situation with the pipe guy. I'm still side-eyeing that situation. Not sitting here saying that it's not the guy, but I do question Patel's motives. His job is on the chopping block. I know he's been on interviews saying, that whole thing is a lie. I'm not losing my job. But nonetheless, that is something I'm still wondering. Okay? That is something I'm still wondering about. Okay? I still question his motives. I'm still questioning Pam Bondi and even Dan Bongino. I'm surprised he was in there, which makes it feel a little bit more legit. I know that sounds weird, but Dan Bongino has not been out here as of late. Ever since the Epstein files, he was like, I want out. I just want to do podcasts. I want to go back to my regular life again because this is some bullshnish, right? So it does make me wonder how legitimate it is. But if he's the guy, then he's the guy. So we'll see how all this goes down. Okay. But yes, and I think this is what's so interesting about this case. And I'm going to go into these super chats here in a second. But I think what's also so fascinating about this situation is that it's really bringing us all together as a country. Yeah. Because we're all in this toxic relationship together and we're all kind of holding each other. You know, it's like he lied to you again. Yes, he did. Oh, come here, sugar. You know what I mean? Let's watch Love Island and eat some Haagen-Dazs. It's going to be fine. Come on in here, baby. You know what I mean? Because we're all in the suck together. We're all seeing these lies happen in real time. It's bad. Haven't you noticed that? More and more people that are sitting there, you know, still being, I see less and less diehard MAGA all day long. You know what I mean? I'm seeing less of that. You still got the MAGA, you know what I mean? But you're seeing less of that now. And it all started because of Epstein, baby. And remember, all the people that were championing Trump in the beginning, in his first term, a lot of them have literally jumped ship, pun intended. Because that particular ship is now completely obliterated. So, yeah, haven't you noticed that? More and more of them, I mean, they're starting to become the old guard, if you will. They're starting to become dinosaurs. The MAGA commentators that are all about just everything Trump does is amazing. He is the most incredible leader we've ever had in the history of leaderships, right? I'm seeing less of that now. A whole lot less of that because they're all starting to look at it and go, wow, he's straight up. We're seeing the lies even more now. This is not good. A lot of people are starting to walk away, baby. A lot of them are. It's getting bad out here. It's getting bad. But what's interesting is that we're now all kind of coming together and being like, yeah, we are all in the suck together. This is bad. We all need to figure this out because we are in a really bad toxic relationship. And it needs to be figured out. Remember, I'm going to get into this, the super chat here in a second, but we are also in a situation where now he is verbally abusing, he is literally verbally abusing the media. I'm sorry, but he is. He doesn't need to be talking to these people like this. He really doesn't. None of them are talking to him like that. They're just asking him questions. But he's also verbally attacking. You know what I'm saying? Shut up. Quiet, piggy. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. My brain is perfect, unlike yours, right? Because you're dumb. You know what I'm saying? Are you stupid? What kind of question is that? Are you stupid? Sir, I'm just asking a question about just asking a very normal question about what's going on. What, are you stupid? What's wrong with you? Toxic relationship, toxicity. I'm just saying, holy cow. I'm just saying, I just thought of that. America is literally in a toxic relationship right now. We're getting lied to every left and right whenever they get a chance to, rather than them telling us the truth. Okay. And then again, we are getting verbally abused, okay? Being told that we're idiots and all that. We're getting gaslit. We're being called dumb for asking questions about the Epstein files. Media is being called idiots and piggy and all that stuff. He called her piggy. Sorry, he did. I know some of you guys. No, he was referring to the other journalist named Peggy. No, he said piggy. He said piggy. All right. I will give him a lot. Okay. But he said piggy. All right. But again, yes. Who's just, I just see Dr. Phil in the corner of my eye. Yeah. It's like we need now. Can you imagine that? Dr. Phil, now, America. We're here now on the show talking about how toxic relationships are happening. We have President Trump here in America. Please welcome them. Can you imagine that? Oh my God, that would be amazing. But anyway, can you imagine that, Ish? Oh dear God. All right. Dr. Phil up in this piece trying to give the whole world and Trump some couples counseling, because that's what we really need right now. Real talk. I just feel like you've just been gaslighting me. What do you mean? What do you mean? Are you stupid? Oh my God. My God. That would be insane. But yes, we need some serious therapy. Okay. And we are most definitely in the most toxic relationship I've ever seen. Okay. In the history of the world. Okay. So let's get into these super chats here real quick. Chrissy Lee, thank you so much for the love. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for my long absence. Well, welcome back. There's always a place for you right here. Okay. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks and had to have 2 brain surgeries, abdominal surgery. Oh my gosh. And was diagnosed with breast cancer and needed surgery for that next week. Well, shoot. We're praying for you. Okay. Swift recovery. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot. But hey, you can always turn this show on and hopefully you get the news and a quick chuckle too. Okay. And laughter is the best medicine. At least that's what they say out here in these internet streets. So hopefully we'll keep you laughing, so that you can heal, but we're always here. Okay. So feel better. And I'm praying for you. We're all praying for you. Okay. Real talk. Thank you so much for the support, Chrissy. Appreciate it. Michelle, what's up? No, please, not a brother. I thought the same thing when I saw that. And I was like, damn. But yeah, he black. He black. But in my mind, it doesn't, like, it shouldn't matter, right? What matters is why he did it. What got him to do this? That's it. And who else is involved? Of all days. Because if you really think about it, think about this too. Here, guys. Okay. He did this the day before the whole thing that went down, right? On January 6th, the day before January 6th. So we already knew that Biden won and Trump lost at that time. So if you really think about it, some people would be instantly thinking that he did that because he's a hardcore radicalized left. But if you really think about it, somebody on the right would do something like that around that time because they would be mad that Trump lost and that Biden won. You see what I'm saying? It wouldn't make any sense for a crazy, lunatic, radicalized leftist to do this around that same time. It wouldn't make any sense. They would do something like that if Trump won and Biden lost, right? But you also got to remember, this guy's an anarchist. All he cares about is disorder, right? He wants chaos. He does not bat for any team. He bats for his own freaking team. He marches to the beat of his own little drummer boy. Real talk, okay? So remember that. And that could be dangerous. That could be very dangerous. Mimi, thank you so much for the love. You're strong. Best wishes, Chrissy. Yes, best wishes to Chrissy. Real talk. Best wishes to her, for sure. Harmony, thank you so much for the love. Steve Urkel, no, is he wearing glasses in the vid? Yeah, he actually is wearing glasses. I thought that he was wearing shades, but he may be wearing glasses. And if he is wearing glasses, then that is him. But then I'm like, damn, he either took Ozempic or became vegan, maybe plant-based diet. I don't know, because he's real skinny, or he's been packing on weight. I don't know. Started working out, drinking more protein shakes. I don't know what it is, but yeah, that's what they say it's him. They say it's him. No Joy here. Thank you so much for the love. Did you notice that while each was addressing Pyro, they kept calling her Judge? Pyro? I don't know what you're talking about there. No Joy here. If you're still here, let me know. I don't understand that question. Sorry, I don't understand it. But beautiful Messy Ball, thank you so much for the love and being a member for the past 11 months. I appreciate it. I question everyone's motives. I do too. It's that at this point now, I don't trust nobody. I don't trust nobody. My non-trust, my suspicions are unbiased. At this point, they're unbiased. If Biden was doing this stuff at this time, man, I'd be questioning all this stuff up and down like crazy. Okay? Doesn't matter if it's Biden, if it's Trump, if it's even Obama. I don't care. Reagan, whoever, Clinton, any of them, I don't care. I'd be asking the same damn questions. The way that they're moving is weird. The way the choreography ain't on beat, and I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it. And yes, we are in a toxic relationship right now. They need to calm the seas, literally and metaphorically speaking. They need to calm the seas, okay, between America and leadership and the administration. They really, really do, because it's jacked up, and I'm worried that it's going to get worse. That we're going to see another J6 situation go on. I don't want to see that stuff again. I really don't. But then it's going to be different, because it's going to be a combination of everybody. And I don't want to see that. I really don't. I really don't. Allie, thank you so much for the love. Sunday is the 84th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Ah, okay. Hard to see the similarities. Hard not to see the similarities. Yeah. Yeah. And that's very interesting too. Good point. Thank you so much for calling that out. Okay. Okay. Attorney General Pirro is former Judge Janine Pirro. Thank you so much. I was like, okay, I don't know what that's all about, but thank you so much for that clarification. Chrissy, thank you so much for the love and being a member for the past 37 months, over 3 years. Dang. Thank you so much. I miss being here for the laughs, but I thought it looked like a white cheerleader bend. Yes, it did. Thank you. It gives you the bend and snap. You know what I mean? Bend and snap. You know, it's given that. It does not give me male bending over. A male like will do this. You know, leg kind of goes like this to balance themselves out. Boop, put it down. You know what I mean? Males don't really do the bend unless they're batting, for, another team. You know what I'm saying? And ain't no shame. Do your thing, man. You okay? Live your life. Be happy, right? I don't care about all that. But what I'm saying is, unless he is like that, I don't know. But it's just weird that he would bend from, you know what I'm saying? From the hip. And he was down there for a minute. It wasn't like he was bending down and like, boop, like that real quick. He went down, straight legs were straight like this, bending down. That seems weird. Like I said, only women I've seen do that kind of stuff. Lower center of gravity, etc. That's just how y'all are built. Y'all are incredible. Thank you for being incredible. But at the same time, men's don't do that. Men don't do that, baby. We don't do that. It's not normal. It's not normal. It's not. Okay? Should we try to do that for longer than 5 seconds? Our whole back goes out. Or we pull a hammy. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense. So the fact that he did it like that seems a little bit strange. This is the reason why I'm side-eyeing it. Yes, it is a very Detroit. Yeah, it's a very feminine move. It's extremely feminine. Extremely feminine. The femininity is just cascading out of that bend. Like I said, bend and snap. So again, just seems a little bit weird. And it could have been a woman who layered up their clothing to not look feminine, okay? To not show the figure. You have all that, and then they're just walking. But they're not sashaying. They're just trying to walk normal. Well, trying to walk not. You see what I'm saying? Not in a feminine kind of way. But then that one tell. It's the bend. It's like, oh, shoot. Doing just fine before that. But then it's the bend, which was weird. To me, it's weird. But we'll see, right? Okay, Messi said, the Blaze had reported weeks ago that it was female, or it was a female Capitol Police officer that is now CIA. Dun, dun, dun. Like, yeah. I forgot the girl's name. That's going to drive me crazy. I forgot the woman's name, but that is like I said, it's all very questionable. Okay. The whole thing is extremely questionable. But like I said, that bend is very, very questionable as well. But maybe he's just flexible. Maybe that's just how he rolls. Just seems strange. And of course, we've heard about them saying that they were speculating that this was done by a female and not a male. Like I said to you guys before, there was a rumor way back in the day that it was Marjorie Taylor Greene that did this. Clearly, it's not her, but it could be a woman that just layered up so that you don't see like her lady lumps. You know what I'm saying? Wearing shades to cover up her whole face. That's very possible. A hoodie and a mask and glasses to cover her face. It's very possible, right? But we'll see. We'll see. They say that they're able to do all the reverse math and they were able to take this guy down specifically from receipts. That's basically it. Serial numbers, receipts, reading his license plate in the area around that same time, driving out of the area. I'm sure they have video footage, stills of him at these Home Depots and other hardware stores in the area buying these things. They have all that. So it must have been him. But like I said, I just don't think he operated alone, y'all. Like I said before about Tyler Robinson, I don't think he operated alone, baby. I just don't. So we'll see what happens here, guys. But it's interesting. Do they have the right guy or do they have the wrong guy? That's the question. We'll see what happens, though. But guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Really means a lot. Do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do it, do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. That'll be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to hit that follow button if you are watching on those platforms on Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick. Follow if you can, please and thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe right here on my YouTube channel, this main channel right here. Go check out the Pascal Show clips, also Pascal Raw. Subscribe to those channels as well. All right. Hit that join button down below, hit that notification bell first. Set it to all on all those platforms so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. That'd be greatly appreciated. All right. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Support the channel if you can. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Anyway, guys, it's time to get going. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of things going on. So we'll be back to talk about it all then. All right? Much love to you guys. Have a great, safe, and beautiful night. Anyway, talk to you guys soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye. Bend and snap.